dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Welcome, everybody, into Newton, Iowa, and the Iowa Speedway here on Sim Racing Media. Tonight, the drivers of the ECR NextGen League go a little bit shorter than they have been the last few weeks, but last week they put on a clinic there at Nashville as Tristan Bailey led 89 of the 137 laps. John Osborne and Tyler Burton wound up coming in second and third, but they put that in the rearview mirror. They get set here to go 200 laps at Iowa. I mean, these guys are looking to put on a show here. I'm Mike Damoni up in the booth. Joined with me, as usual, is Shane Cochran. Shane, man, how's it going?
It's going great. Excited to be here for another Saturday night with the ECR NextGen Cup Series. Iowa is a favorite track of mine, both to watch and to drive on. You know, it doesn't have the history of a lot of NASCAR tracks. It's only been open for a little under 20 years, I believe. But the racing here is fantastic. Fantastic enough that IndyCar runs a double header weekend here. And every NASCAR race I've ever seen has had a lot of door banging action. There's multiple lanes. The turn 1 and 2 has some bumps in it that can throw your car sideways, so should be a really fun race to watch here.
Yeah, it definitely should, as we're going to get ready to set the field for the BAMA Q200 at Iowa. We got Tyler Burton on the pole with Jonathan Cogswell just to his outside. Kane Lee and Tristan Bailey are going to start in row 2. Row 3, Matthew Crago Jr. and Doug Denise, Adam Boughton, and Dwayne Furtick are going to roll off in row number 4. Row 5, Kyle Diaz and Michael Carter. John Osborne and Robert Roth are going to roll off in row number 6. Row 7, Aaron Miller and Pete Walsh. Colin Bollinger and Aaron Spear, 15th and 16th. Christopher Roth and Ryan McCall in row 9. Row 10, Anthony Ludi and Bradley Rivers. Sam Batwell, Rob Mooney are going to start in row 11. Row 12, Kent Mueller and Gary Nash. Starting shotgun on the field is going to be Stan Carnathan. So that is where they start. Lights are out on that pace car as we get ready to roll here. What is some strategies that we're going to have here?
I think it's all going to be about tires. This track eats tires up. So much so that when they first opened the track, they actually had mandatory competition cautions for all the races they were running just to make sure no one blew a tire. So I think anytime we get a caution, there's going to be a half, of the field are going to try to stay out, half the field going to come down, and then there's going to be some drama to follow that. That's my prediction for the night. It's going to be all about tires.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that could be a very good option there, as they only have 4 sets laying in the pits. 70% fuel. We're looking at somewhere between 70 and 80 laps on a fuel run. So we'll see what they can do as they get through these races. They have raced here 4 times before, but the driver who won the last 2 times is no longer in the field. So we'll get a fresh new look at a winner here when they get to that checkered flag. But right now, that pace car is going to make that left-hand turn down pit lane. Tyler Burton with the button as they get ready to hit that Geico restart zone. And we are underway in the BAMA Q200 from Iowa.
Hopefully everybody going to take it easy these first few laps. Like I said, there's a lot of different lanes you can use here as you see guys way up high, way down low, hugging the line. I think the high line saves your tires a little more on the long run, but that low line is the way to get passes done when you need to. So we see Cogswell making that high line work early.
I was going to say, you said that, and Cogswell up there making a pass there for Tyler Burton on the lead. Burton's going to try and slide in, but can't quite get there as Tristan Bailey's just to his outside.
Mostly single filed out here. Everybody finding a comfortable place to ride along. Back to this group here, a little 2x2 action as we see Michael Carter in that BAMA Q18 car. Tonight's race sponsor.
They went out and put on that race sponsor there. Thank them for sponsoring the race. We'll hear a little bit more about them a little bit later here as we go along. Definitely have some action towards the back of the track as well. Bradley Rivers, Pete Walsh trading positions there, 3 wide back behind them. Dan Carnathan, Rob Mooney, and Sam Batwell.
I like that Valvoline scheme there on Rob Mooney's car. I don't think I've ever seen a bad Valvoline scheme. Just always seems to look good.
I definitely don't disagree. field
Matthew
a little bit there.
Yeah, Craigo Jr. in P5, just ahead of Dwayne Furtick in the 51. Not too much movement in the field so far.
No, I think you're right that it's going to probably be a little more difficult to make passes until that tire wear kind of comes to play. But it seems like everybody's running almost the same speed, so maybe everybody's trying to save tires just a little bit here to try and, feel them out at least for the first 10, 15 laps.
Yeah, I know in terms of my iRacing journey, getting to Iowa in the ARCA car and the Xfinity car was where I really learned, how you can be fast and save tires at the same time. Like I said, this is just one of my favorite tracks to drive on. There's a lot in your hands as the driver in terms of finding a line that really balances that out. Or maybe having a line that you keep in your pocket for when you need to make a pass. Kane Lee is looking under Tristan Bailey for second. Not quite going to get there this time. And pole sitter Tyler Burden back to P4.
Yeah, he didn't get the start that he wanted on that initial start, but, saving tires, he is one of the drivers that tends to have a little bit better long-run car, so I don't foresee this being too big of an issue for him. I imagine he's going to come through the field a little bit later in the run. Cogswell, though, had a rough couple weeks, but now he's got that 84 Ford moving forward here out to over a second lead right now.
Yeah, certainly no one in that top 10, top 15 ready to hit the panic button just yet. Just drive your race. Now, on the other hand, these drivers at the rear of the field, they're almost 8 seconds behind the leader, and this is a 24-second lap, so that they're already 1/3 of a lap behind the leader. If we get a long green flag run, I do expect to see some lap traffic here.
Yeah, I imagine we are going to see that lap traffic kind of come into play a little bit, and we kind of saw it last week as they had that green flag race, and just a little bit of lap traffic kind of played a role in how fast Osborne was able to close in on Bailey, but Bailey just drove away.
Yeah, this should be a perfect experiment as we're looking at lap times. Cogswell, the fastest on track, and by a couple tenths over most of the field. So it seems like he's someone maybe not pacing himself, saying, "Hey, let's build a comfortable lead. I'd rather have some space to work with than have to pass people later." Really curious to see how his tires hold on.
Yeah, he is. Last time he was a little bit slower. See what he does this time by. About the same. Back to 5th or so. That's when the times are starting to drop off a little bit more. 5th, 6th, 7th, they're all running the 24.04s, and then about another 10th back, you've got Denise Bollinger and Kyle Diaz back there, so maybe a little strategy being played mid-pack.
Beautiful shots here as we got the sunset in the background. I'm not sure if the sun's in their eyes just yet, but it sure will be as it gets closer to setting.
Jump on board here with Kyle Diaz. Oh, it's definitely a little bright there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're going to need your spotter to tell you who's inside outside when you're coming out of turn 4.
Especially when you're battling side by side there, just to know what room you do have.
Bollinger and Doug Denise side by side. Looks like 53 is going to take that one. That 40 car has been kind of peeking to his inside the last couple of laps.
It looks like he gets a pretty good run, and then I don't know if Bollinger just puts down the throttle a little bit sooner than Denise does, but he gets that run coming off the corner, and Doug has to slide it back in behind him. A little more action back in the pack. Aaron Spear, John Osborne, side by side.
Ooh, the 96. Ripping the wall on that one. I thought he was going to get into it, but kept it a few inches away. Trying to make this pass on Michael Carter.
Michael Carter, Robert Roth, staying down there on the bottom. Aaron Spear just staying inches away from that wall. Now he tucks it down a little bit closer.
A little loose there, but he's going to maybe peek inside. Thought better of it.
Osborne moved to that high line. It looks like somebody spun through the infield there. Like Christopher Roth went around. Which this is about where you kind of see who has tires and or who abused their tires and who didn't there. If you get a little loose coming off of 4, you are going to, try and slide in that infield there.
Yeah, we're about a third of the way through the fuel run.
Ooh, into the wall.
And this is a track kind of depending on how you're driving the car, you can get tight or you can get loose. And so I think if you're running the high line like that, you're probably wearing out the right rear tire, whereas if you're running the low line, you're wearing out the right front. So you got to be careful on that outside. That wall will sneak up on you, especially out of turn 4.
Through the front of the field, and there's just a massive kind of straightened out now, but they were all almost 4 wide there trying to go the same direction, and looks like Prego Jr. might have checked up just a little bit there as he's losing touch of Miller and Denise. Oh, Miller got loose. Let's go see if we can see what happened here with the 62 of Christopher Roth real quick, as these guys have kind of settled down a little bit. 95 and 62 kind of going. Well, slid up a little bit, turned down. Oh, little bump there from the 95.
Yeah, it almost looked like the 62 on turn exit really needed kind of the space to get to the wall, but there was a car on the outside and you had to check up. And sometimes, coming out of turn 4 when you're right on someone's bumper, there's not enough time to check up if you're not expecting it.
Yeah, just asked Sheldon Creed about that tonight. Cogswell still driving away.
Yeah, it looked like Aaron Miller tagged the wall pretty good there.
Aaron Spears staying pretty close to that outside wall too.
Yeah, the 84 of Jonathan Cogswell, he's currently 11th in points, so this could really be a statement race for him to move up in the points and maybe get a win here and say, hey, I'm in the running too, guys.
Kyle Diaz. Grego Jr. into the wall.
After seeing so much single file racing, we've got a bit of a hornet's nest here behind Diaz.
Diaz, Boughton, Grego Jr. Grego Jr. seems to keep getting loose and touching the wall right before that start-finish line.
Yeah, when I think about the two ends of this track, coming out of turn 4 is where I feel like you can get loose, and coming out of turn 2 is where you get tight.
They're just all over the track back here. Up front, single filed out, not a big deal, but Bradley Rivers, a Spear, good call trying to get that high line pass complete.
Yeah, all these drivers being pretty polite so far tonight. 96 hits the wall just a smidge.
Ooh,
Whoa. That's about as close as you can get without wrecking.
biggest mover of the race is going to be that 53 Toyota with Colin Bollinger, as he's sitting behind Tristan Bailey and Dwayne Furtick. Looks like Bailey's had a little hiccup here or there. Got a little loose there. Lost a few positions. He was running up into P2, but now he is back into where he started, back in P4. We got Kyle Diaz and John Osborne going side by side. Aaron Miller touched that outside wall again as well. Jr. still up in that outside wall, outside lane, trying to get some positions here, but is losing them in a hurry.
Yeah, I think 3 wide looks a little shaky here, but I think if everybody's minding their lane, you can do 3 wide. For a few laps in a row, as we're seeing these guys do back here. And just kind of placing your bet that the line you're running is going to prevail eventually, and those other drivers are wearing out their tires. At least that's what you're hoping.
Yeah. If you're 3 wide and you're in that high line, that has got to make you a little bit nervous, because most of the time when you get, when you're 40 laps in, you're going to slide up the track a little bit with your tire wear.
Absolutely, and if someone slides up in front of you like that, you kind of have to bake that into your speed in the middle of the corner, expecting someone to come up, take that clean air off your nose, make you a little more tight. As always, any race with these next-gen cars, that dirty air versus clean air is a big deal, so you don't want to ride right behind someone, especially on turn exit. And you need all that grip.
Just trying to find a spot to be. And Miller kind of pinching Kyle Diaz down to the bottom.
Ryan McCall in there too, trying to decide which of these drivers to place his bet on to follow through. I'm gonna try to follow Kyle down low. We're now 45 laps into this run, over halfway. The tires are certainly dropping off now, about 1.5 seconds slower per lap than when we started.
Bradley Rivers trying to get by the 10. That U.S. Army machine rolling fairly well, just mistimed when he was going to catch Aaron Miller and had to kind of take a second, regain his momentum there. And Aaron Miller now going to go down to the bottom and see if he can pass Rivers right back.
Looks like Cogswell is caught the first lap down victim here.
Ooh, that was a bad place to catch.
It's Rob Mooney going to go a lap down.
Yeah, bad place
He'll
to
be
catch
in that-
Rob Mooney.
He'll be in that lucky dog position. It looks like Boutwell in the 47 will be the next one the leaders might catch, but he's pretty far out there. Meanwhile, Dwayne Furtick now only a half second behind Cogswell, making his way to the front.
Yeah, Cogswell caught Mooney at exactly the wrong time. Went up towards the start-finish line, cleared to the outside wall trying to get by, and Mooney just went right with him. So not exactly where he wanted to be, but that allowed Furtick to close in, and now we will have a race here as Tyler Burton's starting to close in as well.
Yeah, like we saw earlier, it seems like Cogswell was more aggressive on his, at least his lap times looked more aggressive there early in the run, and it might be paying off for some of these drivers that save their tires more early.
Well, here comes John Osborne again. Last week as he kind of saved his tires a little bit, had those huge runs towards the end of the long fuel run there. Looks like he's doing basically the same thing as he has now caught Tristan Bailey. They go to the outside, see if he can get by. Car in Pete Walsh up there. Pete Walsh trying to stay out of the way, but there's 3 cars hungry behind him, and he does not know where he needs to be as he tries to go clear to the outside to stay out of the way.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge here at Iowa because no matter what lane you run in the corner, you want to come all the way up to the wall, ideally on the straight, and that's all the lap car can do. So you kind of have to plan ahead to cut under him, but if you've got someone side by side like the 9 and the 40 are racing, then that isn't always an option.
Yeah, and especially when you're talking a lap car, because usually that means they're probably pretty loose and they're going to want to slide. They're not going to have much of a choice but to slide up the track. So you've got to be able to hope that your tires aren't quite as worn and can grip and turn down. Looks like we might have, Stan Carnathan, first car down pit lane already.
Yeah, I think Furtick has taken the lead over the 84. already starting to pull away.
Gonna take a look here at how this pass happened momentarily. Nothing too bad. Probably just has a little bit fresher tires. Saved a little bit for the end of the run. Now he is starting to drive away.
Yeah, you mentioned Carnathan was on pit road. He's still there for an extended stop. I'm not exactly sure what types of attention he needs there, but don't show him having any contact.
I didn't see anything come up, but you never know. Hogswell, Burden, Bollinger. Closest battle is going to be back here. Kristen Bailey and Adam Boughton.
You know, the lap times really haven't dropped off that much more than they were 20 or so laps ago. So put that in your crew chief notebook, that the second half of the run doesn't lose much speed. Now, they might not be as comfortable as they were 20 laps ago, but lap times are keeping up.
Definitely going to see how this all plays out. What pit strategies kind of come to fruition, because like I said, they can make it, you know, almost 80 laps, maybe a little over 80 laps on a fuel run, but from the looks of it, you're going to be wanting tires before that.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a perfect race where, you know, doing the undercut, coming in as early as that pit window cycle opens to the end of the race will really pay off. But, you know, if you want to split it even, I think make the most of it for the whole race. You want to get probably a little closer to 70 than where we are now, but a couple drivers already in. The 96 of Aaron Spear, the 10 of Aaron Miller. I think we saw Kane Lee in as well.
Yeah, it looks like Kane Lee came in. We saw Kane Lee early in the run. He was up front mixing it up with the leaders for a while. So maybe he used up his tires a little bit too much there. But even that, I mean, if you make it to, you know, 65 laps or so, you should be able to still make it on, you know, 2 stops. Probably not as comfortable as some of the guys that make it, you know, 70, 75, but
yeah, I think personally I always like to go a little long on the pits so that, you know, I have those fresher tires at the end of the race, but, you know, sometimes that just hurts your overall lap speed waiting that long to get fresh tires. So I think it's gonna be a perfect kind of spectrum of strategies here. And then the other risk, as always, is on a track this short, when you green flag pit, you're probably going to go a lap down and kind of cross your fingers for 10 laps until the leaders come in.
well, and that's the other thing with a track as short as Iowa. Looking at the pit lane times, I mean, they're almost 50 seconds, and you know, so you could be close to almost 2 laps down.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing that play out now as both Miller and Spear are 2 laps down.
I mean, I think if you're the leader, you almost have to stay out as long as you can in case something happens.
Right, just on the chance that you catch a caution here, you can trap a few of your competitors down there, needing them to take a wave around without getting fresh tires. I think if you pit from the lead, you're still going to go one lap down. It sounds like the 53 will be coming this time from P5.
Coming in,
Yeah, I think lap 70 would be, a nice even number to split this race up.
I think
Save a little bit of tires for that third run.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think I'd try at least hit 70 because then you have a little bit left in case, in case you have to push it a little bit harder towards that, towards the end of that third run. Cogswell coming down. Let's see if we can just go in and ride along here in the cab with Furtick.
The radio is lighting up now as more and more drivers calling out their pit. Michael Carter, Robert Roth, Kyle Diaz, Gary Nash. Furtick still out there. Right now, Furtick and Osborne are the only drivers still running a sub 25-second lap. So I think they had this in their plan all along, that they were saving tires, planning to go long, and make the most of that strategy.
Well, if you look at the history of this race and this league, the last times they were here, they've been here 4 times, and they've only had 4 cautions. So, you kind of have to imagine that it's just going to be a long green flag race.
Furtick now hitting pit road. 95 of Anthony Ludi is also on pit road. Adam Boughton coming down. Tristan Bailey.
Looks like Burton's coming in.
So Osborne inherits the lead. Stars and Stripes rapid fire pizza car. Looking good under the lights now that they've come on.
So speaking of that, we were talking about pitting from the lead, how much time you would lose. Furtick is only under 35 seconds behind Osborne. So just behind him here, and he'll be right back on the lead lap momentarily.
Still got about the top 4 have not pitted yet. It's Osborne, Denise, McCall, and Corrego Jr. Just as I say that, McCall and Corrego Jr. hit pit road. And the leader calling out on the radio, he's coming this time.
I'll say, and so does everybody else.
and that makes him the last one. So he got everything out of this gamble that he could. Didn't catch a caution that would have been, you know, kind of a treat. But I don't think he's going to come out in too bad of a position either, with now much fresher tires than a couple drivers that pitted really early in that cycle.
Yeah, watching the leader the will-be leader right now, Kane Lee. He is a little over 2 seconds in front of Furtick, but he last pitted on lap 60, so he's already ran 20 laps on these tires.
Yeah, he was the first one to come in, if I remember right. So you see how he leapfrogged to the front. That's the advantage of the undercut, hitting short. But we're probably going to see him lose some positions now that his tires are so significantly older.
Yeah, and coming down on lap 60, you're not going to be able to make it to the end. Well, I guess you could, but
yeah, I think he's kind of
lap 80.
He's kind of doing it in the opposite of the way I would have thought to do it. You know, you can do 270s and then end on a 60. It looks like he's going to start with a 60 lap run and then have to end with 270s, assuming we stay green.
Yeah, Furtick's closing in. You can see him coming up in that Dell machine.
Both of those drivers rocking that McLaren type paint scheme.
Yeah, they're fairly similar. I mean, the only difference that you can kind of tell on the side is that 51 is that solid black, whereas the 38 of Kane Lee has that chrome door. As we are single filed out, made our first round of pit stops, we're going to step aside. You won't miss anything. We'll go side by side, and we'll be back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the BAMA Q 200 from Iowa. Didn't miss anything while we were away. Dwayne Furtick did get the lead back. Jonathan Cogswell in second. Colin Bollinger up 12 spots, biggest move of the race, running P3. Well, with that, let's see if we can get a little sponsor plug here. We'll jump on board with Michael Carter in the BAMA Q18 Toyota.
Yeah, of course, this is the BAMA Q 200. BAMA Q, real barbecue, real family, real good. At BAMA Q, they bring the smoke, the flavor, and the heart. Family owned and proud of it. All about slow smoked meats, homemade sides, and that deep down southern taste that hits just right. Whether you're picking up a plate or pulling up a chair, they've got a spot ready for you. Smoked low and slow the way barbecue should be, with fresh, made from scratch sides, and sweet tea colder than your ex's heart. Swing by BAMA Q, where the fire's always hot and the welcome's even warmer. Family run, flavor packed, and always fired up.
I definitely thank them for jumping on board here.
Nothing better than that local barbecue joint. You know, when you have guests come to town or something. I know everybody's got one. Glad to hear that Michael Carter has BAMA Q.
Yeah, definitely a place to check out if you're in the area. I mean, Jacksonville, Alabama is where Michael Carter resides, so I'm assuming it would be in his neck of the woods. So hit him up here if you're in town and get some good barbecue. Looking back, though, Kane Lee was the first driver to come down pit lane on lap 60. He is currently running P5, so not really losing a ton of time. But he is definitely going to need to come in 20 or 30 laps, and everybody else can stay out 40, 45.
Yeah, we're starting to see that hodgepodge of strategies play out here in the top six. So Furtick and Osborne were those drivers really saving tires, going long on that first run. Cogswell was a driver really pushing hard early, showing a lot of speed, leading some laps. And then we had Kane Lee. He was the first one to come in short pit. So everybody doing a little bit something different. Burden looks like he's pretty similar to Furtick in terms of when he came down to pit. He's running P3, been up front pretty much all night.
Yeah, nobody's really fallen drastically through the standings or anything really. I mean, Furtick's up 7. Bollinger, he's up 11. Just didn't get a qualifying lap that he wanted. He's looking to get one more spot here as he's trying to get to the outside of Tyler Burden there. And while we were away, we did see Kyle Diaz look like he had a connection issue and got manually retired there. Craigo Jr. lap down now, running P19, lost 14 spots. And kind of hit or miss on the wall, it seemed, as he was running around. Probably used up his tires a little too much early in that run. Got a little loose late. And now he's kind of paying for it. Did come down on lap 77, so has the right pit strategy. We'll see if it's gonna help him later in this race. And this is the problem with all the green flag racing. You have the leader trying to work his way through 3, 4, 5 cars, trying to stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, the other driver we mentioned was on pit road for an extended period is the 24 of Carnathan. Still trying to figure out exactly what happened to him, and I think it was on lap 52. He smacked the wall. Just in front of Spears. Let's see if we can get that replay of that.
Oh, him and Aaron Miller both off the ball.
Yeah, Carnathan spending almost 7 minutes of repairs on pit road. Now running a good chunk of laps down.
Ooh. I think Robert Roth bounced off that outside wall a little bit on that 59 machine.
I think of Iowa a lot like Darlington. If you're not hitting the wall at least once during the race, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, it's
You can hit it a couple times before it really gives you any damage.
especially depending on where you hit it. I know a lot of leagues, depending on where you hit the wall, they'll kind of police it a little bit stricter than they would at some other places, because if you hit it just right, it's gonna propel you down either the front or back stretch.
Yeah, I did see a note in the league communications earlier today that they would be watching for any wall riding being done, so to make sure no one's doing that. I haven't seen anything that looks like it's helping anyone at this point.
No, I think they're catching it way too late. They're not, doing that to Kyle Larson or the Ross Chastain lying right up against the wall. Everybody's pretty well off of it until you get, I don't know, an eighth away down the front stretch or down the back stretch. There you can kind of see where those tires start to hit just after that Geico restart zone there. But nothing to worry about really.
As Furtick gets around Robert Roth, that leaves just 14 cars now on the lead lap. Over half the field is at least one lap down.
Tyler Burden trying to... That has got to be one of the harder things to do, is you're faster than the cars in front of you, but you have to be methodical about the way you go around them, because you don't want to ruin your race, and you don't want them to ruin your race. So kind of have to work your way through the traffic, and that's going to allow Furtick to get away. He's almost 3 seconds out now because he has nothing but clean air in front of him for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of twofold, right? Like, one, you don't want to cause an accident or get any contact or damage to your car, but secondly, you don't want to burn up too much of your tires trying to get around people. I guess the good news, bad news there is that every car that Burden has to pass, Furtick had to pass them as well. He's just kind of already put his deposits in that bank account.
Yeah, and the tire or the pit stop cycle there. Tyler Burden was down on 75. The guys he's trying to pass were on 71, 77. Aaron Spear there was 61. So he's the only one that's kind of the outlier there. Kent Mueller, 76. So, I mean, it's not... He doesn't have a tire advantage like you think he would.
Yeah, right now it looks like speed-wise, Furtick is king, sitting out front. That clean air serving him well. Osborne is on the freshest tires of anyone in the top 5. I'd expect him to have a little more speed, but again, he's got that long run style of driving, so He's probably saving those tires so he can press a little harder, but riding third place, less than 5 seconds behind, that's a pretty good position to be if you've got more tire in the tank.
And
oh, it's the 96. It's sideways. Ooh. Making contact with the 62, I believe.
47? We'll see.
We've got some similar colors on them.
Oh, it was a 62.
Well, the 47 probably picking up a little contact there as he went by.
Take a different look. And Christopher Roth gets a run going down, and I don't know if the Spear just didn't see him there.
Let's see, the 96's tires are... I mean, he's over 10 laps older tires than the 62, so maybe neither of them were expecting to catch each other so quickly, as now the entire field is on pit road. Everybody gonna get some fresh rubber right here. Yeah, I heard the 62 throw an apology over the radio. There wasn't much discussion other than that. But yeah, it almost looked like he caught him faster than he expected, and then when they made that initial contact, it kind of upset his car, and he got tight in the bottom of the turn and had to come back up, and then unfortunately turning that truck around, or car around.
See what that does as far as lap traffic goes here.
Yeah, I think Kent Mueller was a lucky dog. He's in 15th position. And now all that tire strategy pretty much out the window in terms of when you're going to pit and how old your tires are. And if you're cutting your ignition off here under caution, you should be able to make it to the end without stopping. So it's going to be who can save some tire or who can gap the guys behind them so that when their tires run out, they've got a cushion.
I mean, Osborne ran 79 laps.
Yeah, I think you can do it. Or at least some of the drivers know how to do it. Gonna be Furtick and Burden up front, Cogswell and Osborne in row 2.
I'm not sure why Aaron Spear and Rob Mooney stayed out. Take the wave around. They're gonna have to come down pit lane. They're last pit on lap 61 and 75.
Well, sometimes that's your only option, I guess. Especially if you're 2 laps down and the lucky dog isn't there for you to make use of.
Pace car is in. Furtick down and away. Gets a pretty good jump. Gonna slide down in front of Burden. Cogswell going right back to that high line. We saw it work earlier in the race as he was able to get the lead and drive away, but now he's got Furtick in front of him.
It seems to be even better at the beginning of the run. Like we see how much speed he carries off the corner here. And like I said, he's looking for his first win of the season. 11th in points. All these other guys in the top 5. Osborne, he's leading the points. Furtick, he's got 2 wins. Bailey's got 2 wins. Burden's got a win. Bollinger's got 2 wins. I think this is Cogswell's opportunity to stamp his name up at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, and he made that high line work. He's just driving away.
Just gotta see if he can save a little for the end.
Osborne gonna slide up into 3rd position here. Osborne going to go to the inside of Furtick. Furtick Osborne side by side.
Yeah, these 2 drivers were the ones that made that almost 80-lap run in the first section of the race as they make a little bit of contact.
Leaning on each other.
Settle down there at the front for a minute. Rivers and Miller are battling.
Again.
That would be for 9th position.
Miller slides in. Carter pulls out.
Carter gonna follow Rivers right through there.
Going down just a little bit. McCall going to the inside of Miller.
It was kind of a convenient time for that rapid fire pizza yellow flag there. A lot of times a caution can come out and really give some drivers an advantage and set some drivers back, but I think that was kind of an even keel effect as we have another yellow flag just now. Not sure who was involved in that one.
It looks like Rob Mooney was sitting there on the backstretch. We'll take a look here. See what we can see from the chopper. Oh.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. Aaron Spear involved again. Well, that was after.
Yeah.
Was on.
It looks like we've got a bunch of people coming down pit road again.
All but one.
.62 of Christopher Roth going to be the lucky dog for this rapid fire pizza caution flag.
And Adam Mountain said, hey, I can make it to the end. I want the track position. I've been stuck back in the back. I want that fresh air. I want to see what this 94 Toyota can do here.
Yeah, just 13 laps on the tires. I mean, if you were saving, maybe this is worth a gamble.
I mean, you know you can make it on fuel because you have these caution laps.
Yeah, I think the bigger implication is that anyone trying to stay out and get the wave around just had that dream dashed by Boughton staying out.
Yeah, and that would be the time to do it. Like if you're going to stay out and take the wave around, do it when you have, less tires there. Let's see. Should be stacking up here. Just over 60 laps to go here in the BAMA Q200.
Really been two dominant drivers up front. Dwayne Furtick leading 61 laps. Cogswell leading 60 laps with the fastest lap of the race so far. Neither of those two out front right now with that 94 staying out. And Doug Denise up to second. He must have done a two-tire stop. Yeah, it looks like Denise. Actually, I'm showing Denise only stopped for 0.2 of a second in his pit stall.
Talk about a splash and go.
Yeah, splash and go for Denise. 2 tires for Furtick, Bailey, and Lee, as well as Aaron Miller back in 8th. Everybody else appears to have grabbed 4 tires. So once again, a hodgepodge of strategies. 64 laps to go. No tires, 2 tires, 4 tires. Everybody should be good on fuel.
These guys can do here is they get ready to go through the Geico restart zone. Out and down and away. Gets a massive jump already out to over a quarter of a second lead over Doug Denise. Denise is going to try and slide in front of Furtick. Furtick side by side with Bailey.
Ooh, it's on now. Not much time to waste here. With so many different strategies, you don't want to get stuck behind someone on a slower tire strategy than you and have to lift. You've got to be aggressive here and make the most of whatever strategy you decided to play.
Yeah, and that's kind of a bad thing for Cogswell as he got stuck back in the back after making that pit stop. He did come down and get 4 tires, but that put him, kind of mired back here in 7th position. We'll see if he's going to be able to use all those tires to his advantage, but he has to get by Osborne, Furtick, Lee.
Yeah, I think that's the right move for him. We saw he was more aggressive, faster pace earlier in the run. Fresh tires are going to enable him to use that strategy once again. Not worry about saving too much compared to the other drivers in front of him as he looks under Osborne already.
Yeah, going under Osborne, looks to Kane Lee. You saw Furtick slide down and get to the inside of Bailey. And Boughton has to love this as he is starting to pull away out to over a half-second lead now over Denise.
Osborne just kind of pulled out of the way there. I heard him say something on the radio, but I didn't quite hear what he said.
We got Bollinger down to the inside as well, trying to go by Osborne.
Kane Lee and Cogswell continuing to battle. I have the feeling the 84 would prefer to be in that high line. We saw him get so much speed out of it on the restart before this one. He's kind of trapped on the low line trying to get these passes done.
Yeah, he tried to go up high early, but everybody else kind of saw that line and decided that's where they wanted to be. So now he had to shift his line, go down to the bottom. And now he is battling Kane Lee and a line he hasn't really ran.
Yeah, almost getting into the fender of Lee right there. Gonna fall in behind him. Trying to get that high line rolling.
Ooh,
Lee's in the wall.
Luckily,
Cogswell right back to the bottom.
I'll say Cogswell got a little bereavement there as Bollinger wasn't able to slide in front or next to Cogswell there. Now it looks like Osborne's starting to come back a little bit on that bottom side.
Yeah, the field kind of stretched out, and now they're compressing back together. So the 94's lead back to Furtick is shrinking ever so slightly. The rest of these drivers are too wide behind them, trying to catch up to Bailey, who's third.
Bollinger. Cogswell almost touched there. Kane Lee, Denise in front of him. Burdick goes to the inside, going to get by the 94. Ooh. 94 battling back on the high line.
That was a block that Furtick tried to throw on Bailey. He lost his momentum trying to get underneath at the 94 and then didn't want to give up second position in the same straightaway. Well, Bailey going to look down there. It sure seems like the high line is the line to beat now that the sun's gone down. We saw him kind of hold even earlier in the race, but everyone that's tried to make a pass down low has not been able to do it since that last restart.
No, the only time the pass down low has worked is if you caught him at just the right time and were able to slide up the track. If you have to stay on that bottom and maintain your speed, you just can't do it. That outside line has such a good run off of the corner that you just go backwards in a hurry. You see there Bollinger trying to pass Kane Lee on the bottom. It doesn't look like he'll get to it, and he'll have to fall back in line.
And it's so difficult, you know, because you can dive bomb someone and get underneath of them, but you can't exactly dive bomb someone to get on their outside. The speed just doesn't get you there without going in the wall. So you kind of have to size someone up and almost, kind of juke them and try to get them to block you low to open up that high line. Michael Carter now up to 7th. Really making up some ground on this final restart, or possibly final restart. The BAMA Q18 car.
Yeah, he had a little rough run early, but these last couple cautions have been a real benefit to that 18 Toyota, and now he finds himself inside that top 10. So good day for him, up 3 spots. Biggest mover of the race, though, is still going to be that 53 Toyota of Colin Bollinger.
And these top 5 cannot get away from each other. Furtick looking low one more time.
Here he goes to the inside again.
Just seems like especially off turn 4, that high line is so good.
Well, and the worst part is he had it, he was next to him, but now he might lose another position because Bailey's staying up there right behind the 94 of Adam Boughton.
Woo.
51 looks a little loose there. Slides in and out of Colin Bollinger's view. Goes up to the high line. Bollinger going to try and make the pass down low. He's been moving forward on that bottom line. Not as quick as he would like, but he is still making a little bit of ground here. Bailey's going to try Boughton on the inside.
Ooh, really saw the 94 push up on entry and let the 9 clear him. It's Furtick scraping the wall down the front stretch. trying to tuck in and draft behind the 94.
And see Bollinger get behind, try and draft up right to the rear bumper, and then try and time the move to pull out at just the right time in order to make that pass. And now he kind of got stuck between Furtick and Boughton there, and he's going to have to slide in behind Furtick again as Bailey's starting to drive away now.
Ooh, and he just fitted in there. And again, we're just seeing these strategies play out. Boughton stayed out on old tires. The 9 is the first car on 2 tires. And the 53 is the first car on 4. If you're wondering how that splash of fuel worked out for Doug Denise, he's fallen all the way back to 13th. So if the 53 can get around the 51 fast enough, let's see if that 4 tires can catch the 2 tires.
Looks like Furtick is playing very good defense there. Kane Lee's able to get by or get to the inside of the 94. Hasn't quite been able to clear him. Michael Carter up another spot, running P6 now.
Yeah, it seems like Cogswell really burned up his tires when he got stuck in this battle up front. Just could not make the pass and got stuck down low. He's back to 11th now.
Yeah, he just couldn't get to that line that he wanted. Taking those 4 tires probably hurt him a little bit more than it would have helped him, but sometimes you have to take that gamble. 4 tires, maybe he'll be able to drive through some of these drivers, in 10, 15 laps, but right now he is definitely going the wrong direction in a hurry.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where most drivers will tell you they can't count the number of times they've lost a race because they took tires when they shouldn't have, and they probably also can't count the number of times they lost a race because they didn't take tires when they should have. Carter all over the back of Kane Lee, looking low now.
Almost 3 wide behind him. Burton, Osborne, Boughton, McCall, all right there.
Yeah, Burton, another one of those drivers that took 4 tires, and that track position really hurting him on this restart back in 6th. I think he was in the top 3 before that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that maybe he'll be able to drive through. I mean, you can see he's a little bit quicker, but you still have to hit the traffic just right in order to make those passes. Michael Carter on the inside, Burton on the outside, Kane Lee just in front of him.
Yeah, I think maybe the most interesting thing about this run we're watching right now is that the field is not really spreading out like they had before. I think we had an 8-second gap, back to the lap cars, the lowest ranked lap car in just 10 or 12 laps the last, during that first run. Now Christopher Roth is 16th. He's still less than 6 seconds behind the leader. And our top 5 are all less than 2 seconds away. I think the field really just staying right on top of each other on this last run here.
Yeah, Dwayne Furtick and Bollinger battling back and forth. One thing I just noticed is on the inside lane, coming out of turn 2 there, you have a couple little bumps there that seem to throw off the cars just enough. Let's see if we can catch it here. Can't really see
Yeah,
it
there's
there.
kind of a minefield of bumps right in the middle of 1 and 2, and then on exit, like you said, I think there's a few up high. Most of these drivers aren't high enough to find those bumps that are right in the middle, but you're right. There definitely are some upsetting bumps down low out of the exit of 2. You can see Furtick hit it right there. These three just kind of glued together.
Bollinger trying to make the pass, just can't quite get there. Furtick staying on the high side.
Having a little argument over who owns that middle lane. Don't think they quite touched, but it was getting close.
It's definitely getting close. Under 30 laps to go here in the BAMA Q200. Bailey, Furtick, Bollinger all on that, well, Bailey and Furtick, 2 tires. Bollinger and Burden back here took 4, so see what strategy is going to come out here. It looks like Burden finally is able to clear all the traffic around him and now can set his sights on the leaders.
Michael Carter trying to break the top 5, getting around Kane Lee. Now we're kind of just past halfway on this tire run. This is where the battles are going to heat up. You're going to have to lean on the guy next to you. You're going to have to slap the wall maybe to carry some speed.
They got to try and do something here. Carter getting to that outside, starting to pull in front just a little bit. Aaron Miller back up inside the top 10.
Yeah, another driver getting in that top 10 is the 8 of Kent Mueller. He was the lucky dog just 2 cautions ago. Now P10. Great comeback.
That went fairly well. Hogswell made the mistake of taking 4 tires and found himself mired back in traffic, and that car is just not the same in traffic. When he gets out front, he drives away.
Just wondering if maybe he tagged the wall or something. That just he was running so well. You can just see it. He looks so tight up there, just kind of checking up, letting cars go by.
This is a battle for 5th position. Aaron Miller, Michael Carter, and Kane Lee. Might as well throw Osborne and McCall in there too. They're all right there.
Ooh, Osborne tags the wall. He loses a bit of momentum as he's chasing this pack.
Back up front. Burden has caught Bollinger, and he's going to go around the outside, and sideways.
Oh, I was going to say that was going to be one of the greatest saves I'd ever seen. Burden's sitting there maybe hoping for a caution, but not going to get it. Burden rightfully upset there with the 53 throwing an apology his way. That leaves these two cars with a pretty big gap back to third.
Well, let's see if we can take a look here. That was going to be the save of the night. Yeah. Stayed off him the second time, but I don't know. It almost looked like Bollinger went a little straight when he should have been turning.
Yeah, when you got someone battling right beside you, you're trying to get everything you can on entry to keep them from clearing you and being able to cut down across your nose, and he just drove it in a little too far. If he hadn't hit Tyler, I'm not sure he would have made it through there without hitting the wall.
Kane Lee, Aaron Miller, Osborne. Definitely hearing the radio light up a little bit with some anger.
Yeah, the frustrations are coming out now. With everybody's had such high hopes on that last restart. Now your tires are gone. You just feel slow. You can't pass the guy in front of you. You're getting pressured from behind. But this is where dreams are made. Final run of the race with 14 laps to go. Tristan Bailey now has over a second lead, or just exactly a second lead over 51 of Dwayne Furtick. Colin Bollinger back in P3 after that contact. Kane Lee leading this next pack of cars. Osborne, McCall, Miller, Ludi. Osborne looking low.
Definitely the tightest battle on track.
Tyler Burden still on the lead lap, about 20 seconds behind the leader. He is probably just praying for a caution.
Going to be 10 to go when we get to the line.
Gap back to second place, just getting bigger every lap. Now 1.2 seconds.
Osborne getting by Kane Lee. McCall trying to get by on the bottom. Eight to go. See if Osborne can make a little run late here in this fuel run. Still can't quite get there. Osborne trying to, but Bollinger's still hanging on just enough here. Quarter of a second lead over Osborne. Burton's 13 seconds. 20 seconds back still.
Yeah, it looks like that third, fourth, and fifth place battle, they are faster than the leader, but not enough to catch him with just 5 to go.
See if anybody can get by Bollinger. That's going to be the only podium place that's going to kind of be in doubt at the moment. Can't quite get there. 3 laps to go. Pete Walsh coming down pit lane. And try and stay out of the way. 2 to go. Popsicle sticks in the air for Tristan Bailey. He has over a 1.5-second lead over Dwayne Furtick. And Furtick has almost 5 to Bollinger. Bollinger does not have that comfort, though.
Yeah, if Osborne or McCall have been saving anything, now's the time to use it. Just a few more turns to try out that dive bomb.
Tristan Bailey, white flag in the air. And Tristan Bailey is going to come out of turn 4, take that checker flag, win the BAMA Q 200 at Iowa. Dwayne Furtick going to hold on for second. And Colin Bollinger is going to go 3. Oh, Osborne into the wall. And Bollinger's going to hang on as Osborne goes into the wall. McCall's going to get up for 4th. Osborne 5th. After Osborne basically left it all on the track trying to get up to 3rd. Winds up just short, coming in P5.
Yeah, I think you can sleep a little better knowing he didn't leave anything out there. Gave it everything he had. I believe Boughton ran out of fuel as he was crossing the start-finish line. Remember, he was that car that stayed out on the final stop.
I got a top 10 for it. Rapid Fire Pizza number 9 Chevy.
What a perfect parking job there, too.
We'll say Bailey goes back-to-back. 3rd win on the season. He's doing that. Let's see if we can get 3rd place up in the booth for you. Shane, you're with Colin.
Colin, you got Shane and Mike in the booth. How you doing?
I'm doing, sweating, actually.
That sure looked like a race where you had to work hard, especially once those tires wore out. Tell us about your night.
I mean, had a horrible qualifying effort. I mean, I think we qualified 15th, and I think after the first run, we got ourselves up into maybe 6th or 7th, and we short pitted once, and that would kind of put us behind the 8 ball, and luckily that caution came out, and we thought we were going to be able to race for a win, but no, we stayed behind Dwayne a little too long and burned the tires off, and then think me and the '06 got together a little bit. I wasn't trying to. I feel real bad. I hit the brakes a little too hard on him, and it kind of shot me up into him and spun him around. And I'm surprised there was no caution. It was right in front of the field. But no, we regrouped and just held off. I think the 81, and I don't know who else was behind me. I was driving for my life. I'm sweating so bad. Like seriously.
Yeah, it was a pretty exciting finish there right at the line with I think it was you, Ryan McCall, and John Osborne. Some Osborne getting in the wall, try to give it everything he had, but bring it home P3. Who you got to thank and give some shout outs to?
I mean, just Team Delusional. That's the team I race for. Daniel Plant Smith makes the car that I drive every week, and he does other paints and stuff. And spotter Sean Walton, he did a great job kind of getting me through traffic and that stuff. And no, that's really it.
All right. Well, congrats again on the podium finish, and we'll see you. Well, I guess we won't see you next week. Got that Easter break, but we'll see you after that.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Dwayne, Mike up in the booth, man. How's it going?
Pretty good, guys.
Well, that was a heck of a race you had there. Dominated quite a bit of it there until those last few cautions came out. How was the racing out there from your perspective?
It was pretty good. Track was pretty slick, but felt great. These night races, they're typically just gripped up where it's difficult to pass, but this track is pretty slick, so I love it.
Yeah, it definitely looked like you were slipping and sliding a little bit there towards the end of those runs. You were able to hold off Bollinger there for P2. Anything you could have done to get to Tristan there at the end?
Well, I think the race was before. I think the winner was whoever was going to get past the 94 first. He so happened to get by. He did an incredible job in dirty air, and he definitely deserved to win. So huge congrats to him and his team. I think they did an awesome execution.
Definitely, man. Well, congrats on your P2 finish. Anybody you want to thank before we get you out of here?
My teammates, incredible teammates, Southern Alliance Racing. I think we had some pretty solid finishes tonight. And thank you guys for the job you do in the booth.
Definitely, man. Well, congrats again, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, guys, take care.
And you got Tristan.
What's
Tristan,
up?
Shane, and Mike in the booth. How you doing?
Doing alright. How you doing?
I mean, it looked like, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you took 2 tires there on that last stop that shot you out, made it a little easier to get through the traffic there at the end. You got around the 94 and then just sailed away. Tell us about your night.
I gotta thank whoever made that caution come out of lap. Was it 160 or whatever? Because that first run, I destroyed my tires. I felt back so bad, man. That caution did come out. There's no way in heck I would have won.
Hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than to be good, but I think you were both tonight able to hold off the 51 on that final run. How did you keep the tires under it all night?
We did a good bit of practice Friday night, and a bunch of us got together on Eon's motorsports and stuff. We figured that if you're shifting, your tires are gonna be underneath you at the end of the run because it heated them up too much. Like it didn't wear them, but it just heated them up and you just slide too much. And then you just had to kind of take it easy, get in the corners. That way you wouldn't blow the right front off.
Yeah, we saw kind of early in the race, the bottom line was able to complete passes, but by the time the sun went down, it looked like you had to be in the top lane to get it done. Where was your favorite line tonight?
It seemed like if you're like trying to do the long run, it's better to be on the bottom. But it for intermediate run, it's like better if you ran right above that seam in 1 and 2, get it past them bumps, and he was able to get back in the gas, and he's actually able to get a good run going down the front stretch.
Yeah, sure looked like it. Again, congrats on winning the BAMA Q 200 here at Iowa. You got any shout outs and thank yous you want to hand out?
Of course, all the Eons, and if my mom watching, thank her because she usually watches me race sometimes. It's pretty funny. I didn't think she would, but she does. And then obviously thank you guys and thank the league for running it, all this stuff. We get it, going great, going good. Your broadcast does great. I go back and watch them mainly after day after, or sometimes depending on how busy I am after that. I watch after the race, but thank you guys, thank everybody in the league, thank the admins, and thank my teammates.
We appreciate you, Tristan. Also, love hearing your mom watches. My dad's always watching my league races too, and that's a great way to stay connected with family. So, congrats again on the victory. You got a little break next week, and then we'll see you back at Talladega.
All right, you have a good one.
You
Happy
too.
Easter also.
We head from Iowa. You take a little Easter break, and you head to Talladega and then Bristol. So doesn't get any easier after the break. We'll go ahead and bring up the race results here of the BAMA Q 200. Tristan Bailey, Dwayne Furtick, Colin Bollinger are that top three. Ryan McCall, John Osborne round out the top five. P6 is Anthony Ludi, Kane Lee in seventh. Aaron Miller, Christopher Roth, and Adam Boughton with the pit strategy call gets himself a top 10. Michael Carter, Doug Denise, Bradley Rivers, Kit Mueller, and Jonathan Cogswell round out the top 15. Tyler Burden, last car on the lead lap after the contact there with Bollinger. Robert Roth, Matthew Crago Jr., and then we go back to Aaron Spear, Rob Mooney are the top 20. Sam Batwell, Gary Nash, Pete Walsh, Dan Carnathan, and Kyle Diaz had a connection issue, winds up 25th. But that is where they finished this week. They'll all take a little refreshing break next week before we head to Super Speedway Racing in Talladega. So we'll see what that holds. But anything you want to say before we get out of here, Shane?
No, that was a great race. We saw so much green flag pit strategy and tires there at the beginning, and then that late race caution kind of evened things out and let these drivers see who could be the fastest there at the end. Two tires seemed to be the winning call, and Bailey takes it home from the BAMA Q 200.
Definitely. That being said, we'll see you all in 2 weeks at Talladega. From all the drivers of the ECR NextGen League and all of us here at Sim Racing Media, I want to wish you guys good night. Happy Easter next week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.